The practice of surrogacy has been around for hundreds of years, a far cry from the so-called sci-fi medical weirdness Rob claimed it was in this week's episode, Baby Mama, starring Tina Fey as Kate, a busy businesswoman who decides to have a child, realizes or learns that she can't have a child naturally, so seeks the services of a surrogate played by Amy Poehler. If you're like me, it might surprise you to learn that the earliest known example of surrogacy was in ancient Babylon, when surrogacy was used to avoid divorce. In those days, surrogacy was simply a woman, a handmaid, if you will, carrying another woman's baby. And this happened after the husband, lay with the handmaid. This is referred to as traditional surrogacy, and that is when the male inseminates the surrogate, making the surrogate the biological mother. Now, before the development of artificial insemination and assisted reproduction technology, traditional surrogacy was the only option for a couple who could not conceive. Today, traditional surrogacy is seen as a taboo process since it essentially requires an extramarital affair, like in that Babylon example. Today, the most common and accepted form of surrogacy is gestational surrogacy, where an embryo is fertilized using IVF. In Kate's case, her egg, along with the donor sperm, were put into Angie, with the baby being Kate's biological child. And of course, Angie was the titular baby mama. Or that's what was supposed to happen before, wackiness and fraud ensued. Let's go back to the 1770s when Scottish OBGYN Dr. John Hunter instructed an infertile couple to have the male patient inseminate his wife using a syringe, leading to a successful pregnancy. That was a remarkable technology that kind of began the modern era of artificial insemination, surrogacy, and providing couples with options for conceiving a child. But it was not until almost 200 years later, in 1964, where artificial insemination became common and more widely available, and of course, acceptable. Fast forward a few years, in 1976, Michigan attorney Noel Keene drafted the first surrogacy contract after a couple advertised the need for a woman to carry their child through artificial insemination. A woman responded to this ad and agreed to carry their child in exchange for a $7,000 fee and $3,000 in medical and legal costs. That's about $38,000 today, and that is about 1/3 of what Kate paid her surrogacy agency. At that time, it was not illegal for a surrogate to be inseminated, carry a child to term, and give up her parental rights upon birth. It was also perfectly legal for the intended parents to pay medical expenses related to the surrogacy. And all the way into the early 1980s, there were no laws in the U.S. outlining surrogacy agreements. Those circumstances changed with the Baby M case of 1986, when a custody dispute between William and Elizabeth Stern, the intended parents, and Mary Beth Whitehead, the surrogate or baby mama. Now, Whitehead agreed to be a traditional surrogate for the couple and then give up her parental rights once the baby was born. She agreed to name William Stern on the birth certificate as the baby's father and allow the intended parents to name the child. You can probably see where this is going, because when Whitehead gave birth, she included her husband's name on the birth certificate and named the baby without involving the Stearns. Yikes. Whitehead refused to give the child to the Stearns, so they went to court. A judge found their surrogacy contract enforceable and terminated Whitehead's parental rights. This case demonstrated the need for states to develop surrogacy laws. However, even today, the federal government does not regulate surrogacy, so legality depends on the state. For example, surrogacy agreements are void and unenforceable in states like Indiana and Michigan. Some states, like California, allow surrogacy and compensation for the surrogacy explicitly through statute and case law. But several states, including Pennsylvania, where baby mama takes place, are silent regarding surrogacy, meaning they have no laws permitting or prohibiting surrogacy. So essentially, surrogacy, even with all of its legal ups and downs, offers numerous benefits for individuals and couples facing challenges in conceiving or carrying a pregnancy. So go ahead and give the subscribe button a nice dollop of sonogram gel so you never miss a thing. We have been having so much fun with all of our episodes. We look forward to bringing you new content. And to that end, new episodes of the Real Relationships podcast premiere every Thursday on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get podcasts. We are also on YouTube. Episodes of this show also premiere every Thursday. Be sure to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Blue Sky so you never miss a thing. As always, stay safe, and we will see you soon.